Part 6. The Campaign Unveiled and Digital Threads. The mug, bone china yellow and crazed with hairline fractures, warmed her palm not with heat but with the weight of knowing. It wasn't the steam rising, though it did distort her reflection. A wavering ghost in amber, but the certainty that the echoes weren't random. They weren't simply happening to her. They were being called forth. It had begun at the laundromat, the dryer's rhythmic pulse a metronome marking the disintegration of her composure. Old Man Hemlock, perpetually dusted with lilac from his fabric softener, had observed her Mary Oliver collection and murmured, a phrase Caleb favored. A bit melancholy for such sunshine. She dismissed it then, a shared cultural touchstone. But then Mrs. Petrovich, meticulously folding fitted sheets, sighed about needing a little vindication after battling her insurance company. His phrase, invariably deployed after a minor inconvenience, delivered with a precise tilt of the head. Now, scrolling through Instagram during lunch, a sea of avocado toast and aspirational minimalism, she found Spotting Your Doppelganger. Photos of near-identical faces stared back, captions proclaiming parallel lives converging. And is it fate or just coincidence? A tremor ran down Clara's spine as she recognized them. The barista who'd mastered Caleb's extra foam request? There she was, smiling serenely from the screen. The woman in the lemon-yellow coat on the subway. Sunshine Sisters, proclaimed the post. It wasn't just resemblance. It was a subtle recognition blooming in their eyes. Scrolling faster, each face seemed to glance back at her with a knowing glint. Less observation than acknowledgement. People were looking at her differently now too, not with animosity, but with a quiet awareness, as if participating in something larger than themselves. Actors waiting for a cue on an infinite stage. The realization resonated within her. Caleb hadn't merely left his mark on her soul. He'd inscribed it onto everyone else's. He'd seeded these phrases, these inflections, into their collective consciousness like capillary threads slowly absorbing color from the world around her. Had he documented their interactions during their 3 years together, then quietly cultivated these connections through social media groups, local events, creating a network of unwitting replicas? It felt absurdly grand and terrifyingly plausible. She imagined Caleb as a puppet master, drawing invisible strings attached to dozens of unsuspecting citizens. Or perhaps less benevolent. Perhaps he simply enjoyed the validation of seeing his influence ripple outwards, a comforting echo in a noisy world. Clara felt caught within a digital web woven with likes and hashtags and carefully constructed personas. He built a miniature version of himself across the city, dozens of Calebs whispering his phrases in different voices, mirroring his gestures with slight variations. Each echo eroded her sense of self, reducing her to a carefully curated data point in his ongoing experiment. Was authenticity even possible anymore? Was she anything more than the sum of his influences? Her apartment suddenly felt claustrophobic, walls pressing in like swirling laundry at the laundromat. She needed proof beyond caffeine-fueled paranoia. She pulled up Facebook and began tracing connections. Friends of friends linked to recent encounters. The threads wove together with alarming speed, overlapping networks through yoga classes. The one where Caleb insisted on trying hot yoga, art gallery openings. He dragged her to that minimalist sculpture exhibit last month. Even obscure Victorian poetry book clubs. It was a bioluminescent fungal network spreading beneath the surface, subtly illuminating everything with Caleb's influence. Each click revealed another link, a shared article on urban gardening. Caleb loved their rooftop herb garden. A mutual friend from college, and Clara sank deeper into the labyrinth. The chipped yellow mug seemed to mock her. Its cheerful hue now felt sickly under the pale afternoon light. She spotted another recurring motif: drooping sunflowers appearing in multiple Instagram posts tagged #SunshineLove, #GoldenHour, #SummerVibes. Many were posted by people who'd echoed Caleb's phrasing during recent encounters. She remembered noticing one on Maya's phone case at lunch today, its heavy head seeming to nod knowingly. They weren't just sunflowers. They were Caleb's favorite flower, the ones he always brought home on Sundays after their walks in Prospect Park, arranging them just so in the kitchen vase. This wasn't coincidence anymore. It was a campaign, subtle, insidious, brilliantly executed. And Clara realized she wasn't just being haunted by Caleb himself. She was being haunted by his carefully constructed legacy, validated by an army of willing participants. The sunshine suddenly tasted metallic, not warm but coldly insistent, pressing against her skin like a knowing caress. She kept tracing connections on Facebook, nearly giving up several times as branches dead-ended into distant acquaintances. Then another key connection, Amelia Junn, who'd commented on her post about Mary Oliver using Caleb's signature phrase about melancholy and sunshine, was friends with David Rodriguez, who worked at the coffee shop where she always ordered extra foam. David had used the phrase just yesterday. Each click felt less like discovery and more like inevitability. Each new face confirmed preordained outcome. It wasn't merely replication. It was veneration. Caleb's aesthetic choices, philosophical musings, and turn of phrase had become subtly fashionable, an unspoken signifier among this growing cohort. He hadn't just influenced them. He'd gifted them with pieces of himself, elevating their own perceived sophistication through association. But what did it mean to be elevated by someone else's influence? Was this connection empowering or diminishing? A fleeting thought surfaced. Old Man Hemlock hadn't seemed particularly melancholic when he used Caleb's phrase. He'd simply been kind. Perhaps some were genuinely drawn to both sunshine and melancholy. Perhaps not all were puppets on Caleb's strings. Still, there was something unsettling about how easily they adopted his mannerisms, how readily they absorbed his worldview. It was as if they craved his approval even without knowing it, seeking validation from him through echoing his voice within their own lives. The digital landscape felt less like an open space and more like an exquisitely crafted panopticon. All constantly observed, all subtly performing for an unseen audience. Clara glanced at her own Instagram feed, filled with carefully curated images reflecting an idealized version herself, and wondered if she too was nothing more than another willing participant in this carefully orchestrated performance.